Villa Fuller podcast. I'm here with my good friend Dan Wiseman. How you doing, Dan?
Yeah, very good, mate. This should be a very interesting one indeed.
Definitely. Last week we obviously had Ian Taylor on the podcast. We've followed it up this week with another guest. We're here with the one and only Garry Thompson. How you doing, Garry?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. Yourself?
We're doing all right, thanks, Garry. Thanks for coming on. First of all, we thought we'd keep it topical with what's going on with COVID-19. How are you coping during lockdown?
Not too bad, to be fair. I mean, I've been constantly working anyway, doing radio, doing this and that, and general work and that. And so the first couple of weeks was okay because I had a couple of weeks off, just chilling and that. Now the wife's got me doing the stripping ceilings and all sorts. So I'm kind of ready to go back to work, to be honest.
I bet.
So we thought we'd start the interview taking it right back to the beginning and the start of your kind of time as a Villa fan. So apparently you actually grew up in Kings Heath, which is an area which is known for a lot of Blues fans. It's quite a Birmingham City area. How did you come to supporting the Villa?
Well, my uncle Charlie. Obviously, I must have been a pest. I would imagine for a little bit because he came to the house one day and my mum just said, "Take him away." Like, I got like 3 brothers and a sister as well. Like, but I must have been a right pain because he just took me. We got on 2 buses. We ended up down at Villa Park. I've ended up watching the game. Obviously, I had a hot dog. But I remember sitting there thinking, I quite like this. And I played football with my older brothers a little bit, but never really was into it because I was the youngest and the second youngest, should I say, and the smallest. They didn't really want me to play anyway. So when I got to actually watch the Villa play, and it was in the old third division, I couldn't tell you who they played against, but I remember sitting near the Trinity at the bottom, and I was thinking, this is nice. I quite like this. And then every time I behaved myself after that, my uncle would take me to Villa, and that's how it started. So I'd only go, say, three times a season. I'd go. But my dad took me one night. Me and my brother went to watch him play Santos. Pele come over, and we watched that game, and that was it. That was sealed the deal for me. That was it. Game over.
Yeah. What was that like? That must have been amazing.
That was brilliant because we'd obviously seen Brazil in the '70 World Cup, and then there was a little rumour about them coming and this and that. But as young kids, you don't read evening mail, you don't read papers, so you just get on with what you're doing. We came back from school. My dad picked us up from school, should I say? Me and my brother one day got on a couple of buses, ended up down there, and I remember we were walking down towards Villa Park, and we realised where we were going. The place is packed, and all I could hear was Steve Harley, Cockney Rebel, come up and see me. Could smell the hot dogs and that, the buzz of the crowd and everything. Watched the game and just was caught up in. Obviously, it's a midweek game, so it's late at night. We've got school next day, but it was fantastic. Loved it. Game over. That was me as a Villa fan.
Yeah, nice.
That is amazing. What are the games that you attended, like as a child maybe, or as you were kind of in your pre-teens? Do you remember that stands out a bit? And maybe not like that, because I can imagine that was a huge occasion. But
that was the main one. I mean,
yeah,
because from then on, I mean, you're looking at the age that'd be 1972, wouldn't it? So I've got to be like 11, and from then on, I'm playing football. I went to senior school, and I played against this kid when I was in junior school, and like you go, well, you all go as your team, and you go into the change rooms, and everyone's chatting and saying, "Well, who's your best player?" And they all go, "Oh, Tomo." And who's your best player? And this kid, they point to this lad, tall white kid, who had sideburns. I mean, bear in mind, we're like 11. He's got sideburns. He's got the beginnings of moustache. And he's about 6 foot tall. And we're all looking at it thinking, he's got to be a ringer. Anyway, this kid plays, and he plays sort of midfield, deep line midfield player. I'm sort of attacking midfield player, going to score goals and that. And everything I had, this kid had an answer for. Like, he read everything I tried to do. He was stronger than me. And then in the end, I tried to use my default, which is violence, and he beat me up. So I had a little sulk about that. So when I go to secondary school, this kid's there. And I see him, and we recognise each other. And he's like, "Oh, you're the little kid trying to beat me up," and I'm like, "Yeah." And we become best mates. This kid turns out to be Paul Dyson.
Wow!
Who ended up he went to Coventry. We've ended up playing Coventry. He went to, I think, West Brom and Stoke as well, Paul. And Paul's like my best mate. Me, Paul, and Malcolm Percival. We from the age of 11 went everywhere together, played football together, did whatever. So our football would be, and I tell my lad this nowadays, and he don't have it, but we play football on a Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. We play Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon. So our weekend would be pure football. So only occasionally we would get to see any teams like Aston Villa or whatever, or generally you'd catch Match of the Day. And Match of the Day, would show basically one main game and a little couple of clips of something else. So that was basically my football diet, to be honest.
When you were, this is something that we asked Ian Taylor when we had him on last week. And so obviously growing up a Villa fan and everything like that, when you first found out that Villa were interested in you, I think you were at Sheffield Wednesday at the time. Was it a simple decision for you to join Villa?
It was simple by then because the way Howard Wilkins spoke to me at the time, because obviously record signing. And for me, it hadn't gone well at Sheffield Wednesday my year. For me, I'd not played as centre forward, even though I think about it now, and I'm doing a book with Bill Howell at the minute. And in it, I mean, there's some serious bitching going on. But during it, I'm saying, basically, I'm not the centre forward. But if you look at my career, every time I played, I was a centre forward, but not, if you know what I mean. I played with Mark Aitley, played with Sir Regis, played with Lee Chapman at Sheffield Wednesday. So there's always been two big guys, as it were, generally. I mean, and Alan McAnally even. I mean, occasionally I played with Warren Aspinall or David Platt. So I was never the main centre forward, or I was the aggressive one, I would say. But so when the chance comes to go Aston Villa, they tried to sign me when I was, I think they signed David Geddes. There was talk about signing me, but Coventry I don't think they were bothered about letting me go at the time. And I think the first time, they tried to sign me when I was a kid, but I'd already agreed to go to Coventry. And it was just a phone call and chat with my dad. And so this was like the third time. Ron Wiley's pulled me after Sheffield Wednesday played Villa at Hillsborough, walking up the tunnel. And like as I'm coming off the pitch, going up the tunnel, Ron Wiley's waiting at the bottom. Now, Ron Wiley's known me since I was 14. So I said, hello, Ron, how's it going? Like, did you come to Villa? So I go, like a shot. Bear in mind, I'm Sheffield Wednesday record signing. We finished third or fourth in the league. Because of high school, we weren't allowed into Europe. We played in the FA Cup semi-final. My first year hadn't gone brilliant, but the fans, I got on well with the fans. They liked what I did. And so everyone was saying the second year is the one, you kick on. So I'm quite happy to do the second year. But Villa, Ron said, do you want to come? So I'm like, yeah, okay. No problem. Didn't think too much else about it. Howard Wilkinson's in Mexico covering the World Cup where Maradona scores the unbelievable goal against England and that. So he rings me. Howard, I pick the phone up and he says, now then, he says, Aston Villa coming for you. I went, oh yeah. He said, I'll give you that, oh yeah. You know what's going on. And I went, news to me, Gaffer. And he went, well, and this is the thing that did it for me. He went, well, you can stay if you want. We can go if you want. And I was like, yeah. I thought, like, as his record site, he'd make an effort and say, listen, big man, like, we can maybe do next year, it can be better or whatever. But he just went, you can go if you want, you can stay if you want. I'm like, all right. Now, the fact it was Aston Villa meant that I was probably going to go anyway. But I would have liked to have been, like, felt wanted or whatever.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I was always going to go then. And my wife at the time, we was hanging with the likes of Human League and Lee Chapman, who was one of my best mates, was going out with Leslie Ash. We were hanging in a... We left Birmingham for the first time, and we were hanging in like music circles. We were hanging with people, like, you know what I mean? I'm telling you, mate, guess what?
What a life! What a life!
So, I was living quite a nice lifestyle. So, like, I went to have the conversation with Doug, and Doug and Ron Wiley went to Doug's house. Doug spends half the time telling me. In fact, he tells people it's the quickest, easiest deal he ever did. He's showing me that cost $5,000, that cost $10,000. You know what Doug's like. So we go through all that. I've started chatting about the team and that. And he said, oh, don't worry. And Ron's trying to bully me. Ron, just sign a contract. Just agree to sign. And like, I went, well, what are you going to pay me? And he went, £600 a week, $25,000 signing up fee. And then Mondeo. And I went, right. And that was it. That was the conversation. Then we talked about some of the players and the way they want to do things. And I'm like, where's the manager? Because Graham Turner's the manager at the time. And they went, and this is when I should have clocked on. They went, don't worry about that. Now, I'm a Villa fan. Because I'm playing every Saturday, every Tuesday, I keep an eye on the Villa, but I don't, if you know what I mean. I'm not really keeping a forensic eye. Like nowadays, I'll be checking everything and that. But I knew they got to the League Cup semi-final, got beat by Oxford, and I knew they'd done okay in the league, but I didn't realise this was a team after and Richard Sydenham's got a book about it. After they win the Champions League, the European Cup at the time, it's a steady decline because they don't add to what they got. Now they realise they've got to add to what they got. So they signed myself, Neil Cooper, Martin Keown, which on the basis of it looks like a good bunch of signings, like Neil Cooper, He'd won a European Cup Winners' Cup with Aberdeen, was a tip for Scotland, was a very, very good footballer. Martin Keown was an up-and-coming young kid, developing, very, very tigerish, very, very defensively good. And I scored goals. I was a centre forward, battering ram type centre forward. So you're looking, you've got a spine there. Turns out Keown is a kid and he's learning the game. Neil Cooper's injured all the time, and I never scored any goals in the first season. So you can imagine, the first season weren't the greatest.
What was that like, kind of walking into that? Because as you said, there were some great names in there, even the likes of Nigel Spink, Andy Gray, Tony Daly, players like that. I mean, a handful of them had won the European Cup no more than 5 years ago with the Villa. What was the atmosphere like in the dressing room?
The dressing room was very, very good. I mean, Simon Stainrod was there, obviously Andy Gray. I'm just trying to Alan Evans. But you looked at Dorigo was a young kid, and David Norton. And Dales was just coming through as well. You look at that crew that was there, and like you'd say you got half a chance. I walk in there, and Paul Elliott was there as well. And I remember I've known Gary Shaw since we were kids, and Shaw said to me, "You're 3 years too late, big man." And I thought, because Gaz had been injured by then, and I thought he was just unhappy because of his injuries and all that. I started doing the training, and it's pre-season, so loads of running, and we play a few practice games. We played Port Vale in a pre-season friendly, and Lee Chapman, Mark Chamberlain, Gary Shelton, Paul Hart, who were good mates from Sheffield Wednesday, they come down to watch the game. So they come down to watch the game, and after the game, we're having a chat. And Shirley went to me, "You go down." And I was like, "Yeah, having a laugh at you." I said, "You seen the players? See their names?" Yeah, because I know there's some players do not try in pre-season. They do enough, keep themselves fit, don't get injured, just get through it. And like, I'm like having a laugh because I'm thinking they're playing well within themselves. By the time we played the third game of the season, and you'll have to check this, but it's either third or fourth game. We played Notts Forest, we get beat 6-0 at Nottingham. And to be fair, we did well to get nil. Then I know we're in massive trouble. My old man's a massive Villa fan, and he works at Bridge Leyland. So he's like, he had a load of mates. He always used to come to, when I played for Coventry against Villa, say, and I did get sent off once at Villa Park. And I got him 20 tickets, and then he looked like trying to speak to someone after the game, but I was getting shunned by everybody. But so you can imagine the abuse he was taking. So when I see the old man, because I used to go every other weekend to my family for dinner, all that abuse he's getting, he's just loaded onto me. So the dressing room was a good bunch of lads, very good dressing room, but probably lost the desire. Lost the drive, was looking to move on. They could see the steady decline. And like Doug Ellis did a magnificent job in some respects because he never put us in the red. He never put us in a situation where we could have been a Leeds United. But by the same token, when you had the likes of Janino or Jermaine Defoe in the office and you don't sign them because you're worried about money, then you think, well, sometimes you got to push the boat out. This is a club. By the time I walk in, this is a club that I'm looking at thinking like, this is going to kick me on. And like within a few games, I'm thinking we could struggle to stay up.
When you guys went down, I think it was you kind of established a place in the side, and I think that was probably one of your more successful years at Villa. A game in which you scored 2 headers at St Andrews. Where does that rank in terms of your favourite Villa memories? What are those derbies like to play in?
As a Villa fan, it was brilliant. It was brilliant for my old man and his mates and that. Because the first year we went down, and I'm forever telling people when I do the thing with Franksley, we went down, and the abuse that I took was frightening. As a local lad as well, you're going to take some. And I know I got to take some. And the funny thing was, we'd be on the coach sometimes, and they used to have the phone-ins then with Tony Butler. And people were ringing up, and he's crap, and get rid of him, and all this. And you'd be sitting there, and I'd be like, we're going to have this thing on, like. And Keown would be like, no, leave it on. Because Martin Keown was a young kid, and they'd go like, but the young kid Keown did all right when he played. Martin played loads and loads of games, but Martin does do well. And he'd be like, no, leave the radio on, because he wanted all the love. And all the senior boys were like, oh, we can't have this, because we get dogs abuse. But, I mean, that year I went down, so obviously going down, taking all the abuse. Now, I got an injury quite early on in the season, but my biggest beef was to Graham Taylor when he came in, because he sat down and had a chat with everybody and what went wrong with the season, what went right, what do you think could be improved and all that. Typical manager's conversation. And I just went, the medical department's shite. And he went, well, I can't go with that. Anyway, he sacks the medical fella. I think the medical fella, Jim Williams, had gone anyway. But I got an injury, and it ended up being an injury for 11 months, which in the end turned out to be an inguinal ring tear, which is basically like a double hernia. And but no one diagnosed it. They were talking about taking a graft of bone from my hip and putting it into my pelvis because they said I had an unstable pelvis. They were going to send me to Germany for it. David Norton had the same operation. I'm in there like a nodding dog with the El Safdie, the physio, and the consultant, should I say. And I'm like, yeah, sounds right. How long do you think back? By the time I get home, there's no way I'm going to have that operation. Like, not doing that to me. Dog offers me money to retire because it was that bad that no one knew how to deal with it. So you can imagine all that went on. We get relegated. I'm getting myself back fit. Graham Taylor walks in, slaughters everything, slaughters the place, the players, the attitude, everything. Makes us wash our own kit. Makes us basically be like when you were kids. You wash your own kit, you clean your own boots. He made us fall in love with football again. And he did that. He got us to mix in the community as well because as he kept saying, you see them fans, they hate you. Like you're gonna have to get back out there, get into the schools, get back and meet people, do community services, they call it, spend time in the community. So by the time he starts doing that, me and Gary Shaw, we're still both injured, and we played the Blues early in the season. And you have to check the score. I think we got beat 2-0 or 2-1 at Villa Park. Now, for a local lad to watch my first derby as a Villa player at Villa Park, you can imagine. I trained correctly for the game, like me and Shuri. Did our training, had a bit of breakfast, had about 5 or 6 beers, limbered up properly. Got ourselves ready for the game. We're in the box watching the game, settle back, we do it proper. We get beat. And we're like, oh my Lord. And we're in the box and we're in the north stand. And obviously the Blues fans are below us. So by the time the second goal goes in and I'm looking at Villa players wilt playing in the pressure of the game, like they clock Shawry because you can't miss him. He's blonde, he's good looking and all that. They clock Shawry and he takes dogs a bit. So I just slide away from it. But it was one of them memories you never lose. And that day goes down as one of my. I mean, I broke my leg in 3 places when I was at Coventry as a kid. I got relegated with Villa, but that goes down as one of the most horrible days of my life. So 3 months later, when I'm finally fit, and I'm getting round to the point in the end. I'm finally fit. We play at St Andrews, or the Sty, as some people call it, and we end up. The game starts now. I'm back in a team, and I've got a couple of goals. But Graham said to me, "You're not fit," so I was playing in reserves on a Tuesday or Wednesday, first team on a Saturday to get me fitter quicker. And I'm scoring a couple of goals. Anyway, the Blues game. It was funny. There was a funny atmosphere about it. The whole game, before we started, because I didn't feel I was nervous. I thought going into my first derby, I'd be really nervous about it. We were all calm. We knew what job he wanted us to do. We knew our jobs. I sat there and I was quite, feeling good about this. Then I think the cross comes over. Kevin Gage, he dines out on the fact that I think his 2 crosses are the ones that I scored the goals off. Like, I mean, for me, if you watch it, he just boots it into the box and hopes someone gets something of it. But I'll make something out of it. The first one, Vince Overson tries to kick me head off. If he actually tries to attack the ball, I don't score. He clears the ball, but I get a diving header. Second one, I think Mark Lillis or Birch run up the line, comes back, lays it back. Gage puts it in the box, and I have a towering header goes in the box, goes in the goal. So for me, that was like redemption. That was the moment when I was back. I was back playing, scoring goals, scored against the Blues. Me and Shuri obviously went out on the night. We were asked to leave. I think it was at the time because the bouncer said they couldn't guarantee our safety. And
no way.
I'd had a couple of beers, so I was like, lads, come on, it's only a game and that. But they weren't really having it at all. As the day goes for a fan, that was a lovely day. I really enjoyed that one.
Would you say then coming down to the second division was more of a sort of back to basics approach? Yeah. As you kind of touched on being more involved in the community, you've all essentially got a lot of work to do to win the fans over.
Graham Taylor walks into the club, and I think I've mentioned this before, but you see Doug's Bentley come up, and we'll be told wait. So we're waiting after lunch. We're waiting, and in the end, Doug walks in the door, comes in the door, And he goes, a little smile on his face. He says, "Can I introduce you to the new manager of Aston Villa?" So like he goes, sort of goes to the side, but he's smiling. And Doug ain't smiling unless there's something to suit Doug's benefit. So we're all sitting there. Now I've been injured for the best part of, I'd say 2 months by then. They've got no idea what to do with me. So I'm just sitting in the corner and I'm waiting for this new manager to come in. And you imagine, I think I'm 25, 26 by then. But you've got Andy Gray there, you've got Simon Stewart, you've got Paul Elliott, you've got Alan Evans, you've got some serious players, like experienced players. So basically, as a crew, they'd be like, "Come on, let's see who this one is." Because Billy Mills come in with a massive reputation, and he went to pieces within, I would say, 3-4 weeks. Billy McNeil just went. So like this fella bowls in. He goes, right. He says, "Let's take this off the table because you lot play in the top league, as it were, or you did. You'll look at me and you'll say, where did he play for? What's he ever done in the game?" And he said, "I played for Grimsby and I played for Scunthorpe," or something like that. I mean, I wasn't even really interested, but as soon as he said that, I'm like, he says, "You can take it off the table. I got injured, got me my badges, blah, blah, blah." He said, "Now." And then he just turned on Paul Elliott and he said, like, "Can you say you give your best level best for Aston Villa?" And Elliott went, "Yeah." "Well, how come you got to move lined up?" And he hammered him, Dorigo. He just, me and Steve on it were sitting, because we're both Villa fans, and sure, he was sitting there sort of giggling and that, but you can't be caught laughing when a new manager's in there. So he's just slaughtering people. "You're crap, you're not doing this, you're not doing that." And so like he's ripped through them all. And then he didn't even look at me and he just pointed to me and he went, "You." He says, "We spent all this money on you." He said, "You ain't scoring no goals. You run around with your socks round your ankles. You get more bookings than goals. You're not good to me. You might as well just fuck off."
No way.
Wow.
All right, yeah. But you still here? So anyway, the meeting breaks up. So we're like, "Oh, this new fella." Like the next day, I drive into the training ground, and the training ground, the canteen used to be like a big building, change rooms and everything, and we park around the side. As I'm walking towards it, I see Graham Taylor, Steve Harrison, and I think he's probably down with him. And like, so 3 of them all suited and booted, and Warren Aspinall's walking back towards his car, and like we used to call Warren George Formby because of the teeth and that. So like, I get up and I say, like, I'm getting out, and I'm saying to Warren, "What's up, Forms?" And he just goes, "Good luck." Gets in his car, drives off. This is difficult. So you can imagine the pitches are to my right hand side. So I do that one way. I start looking at the pitches as if there's something really interesting over there, but trying to weasel my way back towards the dressing rooms without, because I know where they're standing. I don't want to be anywhere near them. So I'm making my way back round, and they let me get all the way back round. I'm about to open the door, and he goes, Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Oh, yeah, all right. Where do you live?" I says, "Bassett's Pole, 5 minutes away." "Describe your house." So it's been, well, got a 5-bedroom house, gaffer, like I've got a bar in there, I've got a sauna, I've got like a stuff dug out for a swimming pool and that, but I've got a 3-year-old lad, so I ain't going to use that light. But you know, I've got a third of an acre, I've got this and that light. He goes, "That sounds lovely." He says, "What are your neighbours like?" I said, "They're great." He says, "What do you think they think when they see you in the morning?" "I mean, they probably think there's Tom going to training." And he went, "No, they say, look at that scruffy bastard." He said, "You dress like that." Because I had at the time black leather jacket, white t-shirt, jeans, and trainers.
Stylish.
Like,
Yeah, that sounds all right.
I was like the Black Fonz, mate. I was carrying it like. And he went like, "Get yourself back home. If you're coming to work, you're wearing slacks and a shirt or a tracksuit because you're coming to work. Now, fuck off home." And I went, "Okay, Gaffer, tomorrow." And he went, "No, now."
Oh my
And
God.
I got in my car, drove back. My missus pissed herself, laughed. "You can believe it. What are you doing back?" I can't believe he sent us back home. We got back to the training ground. He gave us 3 sets of kits. He said, "You clean your own boots, you wash your own kit, you carry your kit with you everywhere. You start going into functions and start going." And I was telling you the story because that was the start of it. That was the first day. From then on, bang. It was like almost in the army. You were on manoeuvres. You were coming correct. You would do your job. He taught us the jobs he wanted us to do, but he made sure we got back into the community, spent time with the fans, went to loads and loads of functions, which for me was never a problem because Jimmy Hill used to make us do them from the age of 17 at Coventry. I'd be going to all sorts of dues. And when you're 17, like, you don't really want to talk to people, you know what I mean? So like, I learned how to converse and mix with people. Graham had us doing all of that, and like bit by bit, we started winning games as well, and we had a togetherness as a group that like even now, Gagey, all of them, they're like my brothers, because we went through a year where it was, in a way, it could have been a horrible year, because not many teams go down and come straight back up. And we did it by the skin of our teeth, and we should have got up quite easily. But we went down, we came up, but Graham got us together as a group. And you look at the team, not the most stylish group of footballers or fantastic footballers, but a hard-working, honest group, knew their jobs, did what had to be done, got the job done. And them kids, they're my mates for life. But also what he did for us. Graham Taylor and me fell out quite a few times, but what he did for the club as a Villa fan, I appreciate it. I mean, like I say, we fell out when I left Villa. We never spoke for about 12 years until we met at the 2020 cricket and had a few beers and basically laid it all out between the two of us, but made our peace and we're cool.
So would you say that, obviously, I guess it's evidence been a success that Villa managed to get promoted that year.
Yeah.
And obviously you kind of said that you butted heads a bit. Would you say that his management style got the best out of you and the rest of the players?
Yeah. He said one day, I think I was injured at the time, and Steve Harrison would take training and Bobby Downs and warm the lads up and then start putting the session on. Graham would always wait 15 or 20 minutes and he would start walking across the pitch and the pitches. If he walked across the pitches and the level of training didn't go up 10%, he'd stop the whole thing. So he wanted that. Oh, Gaffer's there, right? Whatever we're doing, it's got to be better now. Got it. And I watched him at one time, and he said, "If that tempo doesn't raise when I walk over there, the whole thing's been stopped." And he did. If he weren't happy with it, if it wasn't at a tempo, and you had to be like all the time, that was everything he did. And like my first meeting when I'm discussing the medical stuff and that, he knows my little brother, and I knew when I scored the Coventry against Watford in the League Cup, a couple of goals and that, I knew he liked me as a player. So I'm thinking 4 or 5 years later, yeah, he's having me all day. So we're chatting away, and he says, your brother. He says, Keith. He says, I like him. He says he's funny. He spends time with the lads. He's good ability. Keith, my little brother Keith's a left winger. And he's like that Ginola one. He beats 2 or 3 men. There's a cross in the box, throws his hands in the air because the centre forwards are crap. He's one of them. So like, he goes, and Keith's played for England youth. So he goes, yeah, he said, I had him with England youth. Lovely lad, he says. Spent a lot of time with him, blah, blah. You, on the other hand, and just left it like that. And I went,
oh no.
And he just went, yeah, I'm too sure about you at all. He says, I've heard loads of stories about you. You're out all the time with Gary Shaw. You're doing this, you're doing that. He says, you are paid to play football. And that's what you will do with me. And we did argue. We fell out a load of times, but both of us never lost sight of the fact that he needed to keep in control of me. And I needed to be controlled a little bit for the good of the club. It hurt me because he only used me for the year. And I remember getting promotion at Swindon. We're all in the dressing room. Everyone's drinking and champagne and loving each other up. And I remember looking at him and saying, "Look at that son. What's up?" I says, he's looking now, thinking, right, I can bin him, I can jettison him, I can have him. He's already making plans. And I went, wanker. But it's that's the way a manager's got to be like. He's got to manage the club. And that's why me and Graham we fell out, but it was never like that falling out where we'd never speak again and despise each other. When we made our peace at Edgbaston that day, he said the biggest problem with me was, he says, well, I ran the club, I'm the manager. He says, you thought you ran the club. He says, now one of us had to realise that I was managing the club. And I said, well, if you'd have told me that, he said, but your nature wouldn't allow me to be like that. He said, basically, you're loud, you're this, you're that, and you're always out. You lead people astray because you go out. But I go out, but I'm not a great drinker. I go out a lot, for sure, but not the best drinker in the world.
Couldn't keep up.
I wasn't. I've improved massively over the years.
So going from, like, you mentioned that game at home against the Blues and the pain of relegation and everything like that, when you eventually got promoted with your boyhood club, as the club have done recently, and put Villa back in the top flight, obviously as something that a kind of similar process the club is undertaking at the moment, what's that feeling like of putting Villa back in the big time?
It was not a relief, because the last few weeks we sort of had a little bit of a wobble. But when we bought Stuart Gray and Andy Gray and we beat Bradford 4-2, but Bradford, I think Steve Staunton made his debut on loan from Liverpool that day. If you see the video of that game, it all comes together. We score goals, we create goals, we look like a force. And not run away with it, but we're up there. We have a dodgy start, we have a good middle, and just towards the end, we faltered a little bit. We drew a couple of games, we lost a couple, and sort of lost our way a little bit. But the relief when we did it, because we believed by then we were one of the best teams, we should have gone up anyway, but we almost blew it. The relief at Swindon was fantastic because we looked like we were going to go up, then we looked like we were going to lose it, then we're waiting, the game's finished, and we are waiting. I think it's 5 or 10 minutes to have the final result. So I think the overall feeling was just relief that we finally got there. And for us, the likes of Spinksy, who could have moved on. I mean, not just being an England class goalkeeper at the time. He could have gone as soon as he got relegated. I think Jermaine Defoe did it. And transfer request in within 3 minutes and get relegated. I got to go. Spinksy could have done that. He didn't. But the feeling with the lads that were there was they wanted to stay, wanted to do it right, and it was a lovely feeling, especially as a local lad. And Spinksy's more or less classed as a local lad anyway. He's been here. He was at Villa forever, and like it's our club. Our club went down. We've done something wrong. We've made it right. So it was nice.
Yeah.
Would you say that obviously coming up in the way that you did, would you say the quality in the divisions back then? I think now there's much more of a bigger gulfing class between the Premier League and the Championship. Yeah. Was it more similar at the time?
Yeah, the gap was closer because when we went back up, I thought Mac had come in the season before, but been injured a lot, and Mac then proceeded to have one of them seasons. But the gap wasn't that big nowadays, and this is like I would say over the last 10, 12 years. I heard Alan Kirbysley talking on a podcast, and he said when Charlton came up, he said the biggest difference he noticed was the speed, the pace of the whole thing. He said then his quickest players ended up being the slowest players when they moved up a division, and add to that the ability they got. So if you're quick and you've got ability as well, you've got tenaciousness, you're fighting, you're chasing your tail from the off. We went into the Premier League as it is now, or the First Division, and I never really played. My brother had died that summer, and like me and Graham had by then we'd had our tips. So I was on the bench a few times, but he never really used me. But the team held their own a little bit. They did okay. They didn't like it was always going to be left adrift. They stayed up, not a problem, and kicked on the following year. But I didn't think the golf was that bad. But then we only went down for a year, and although we were the worst team the year we went down, by the time we came back, we weren't that bad. Mm-hmm. And obviously Graham improved on that line. Nowadays the golf is mate, it's fantastic. That's why Sheffield United, what they've done, has to be given massive props.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
I watched them last season against us, and I've seen them a few times, and I couldn't see for the life of me how they could stay up because I thought they'll be sussed out. I watch them now, and they look like not a force, but they're going to be fine. They'll be fine. The problem is with Aston Villa. You look at the way the Villa side play. I remember hearing Purslow say when Villa went up, well, Dean's the manager and Dean's an attacking manager and he's always on the front foot. And if teams score 3 against us, we'll try and get 4. And if we go to Anfield and we can get 3 goals, we'll get 3 goals. And I'm thinking,
it's not been the case, has it?
Yeah, it sounds great before the season starts, but you can't be saying that. You imagine go to Anfield and try to go and play an open game against them, they'll tear you a new one. So therefore, you've got to be a bit cagey about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Dean is learning. As a manager, he's learning the game in the higher division. So there's going to be mistakes. I think when people were saying, oh, he's got to go, whatever, this is a fella, like the team, he's learning. We brought him, we had to spend a lot of money. People keep going, it's Fulham. And at the minute, it does look like it's a Fulham, but we had to bring players in because we had 6 or 7 players. We didn't have enough players. So we had to spend money. We had to bring players in. The only argument I would have with the whole thing, because it was always going to be tough. I mean, anyone that thought we were going to walk into this division and let's say do a Sheffield United, because no one saw that coming. But anyone thought Villa would just waltz in and play great football and beautiful, it weren't really going to happen.
No.
So you look at it and you think, well, I think Frankie said it one day. If you average what Villa spent, it's about £11 million a player.
Yeah.
You're getting a Premier League for 11 million quid.
You pay that much for Championship players now, don't you?
Exactly. Yeah. And you get players that what they call flyers, where sometimes you sign them, like a John McGinn, for £2.5 million, who turns out to be like the most unbelievable, like, Jesus, how come no one's seen him? But generally, you don't get too many of them. The rest of them, you get young kids who are learning the game, or 23, 24-year-olds who are still developing, who maybe might develop into a £60 million player, but the chances are they won't. But we've got our crew together now. all we got to do is hold the thing together now and still believe in the gaffer and let him take it forward, because we put our trust in him to let him spend 120 million or 20 million, whatever. You got to see it through.
Yeah.
It's a long-term project, isn't it?
Yeah. And it was always going to be difficult this year. If we can get through this year, then the next couple of years could be a lot better. I was going to get carried away there and say something absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, we've all been there. We've all been there.
Yeah. You get through the first year, it's always going to be tough. After that, you can develop, you can move on a bit light, but you need to get through this first year. And that's why, with the COVID thing happening, it's knocked everything for six. And like now, like I get on Twitter and you can hear people saying, "Wow, Villa are just panicking. They don't want to play games, blah, blah." I said to Frankie the other day, he rang me up and did a bit for his show. If someone says to you, "Well, do you want to play at neutral ground or play at your own ground with fans there or not?" You want to choose your own ground. Why are you going to put yourself at any disadvantage? We've been disadvantaged enough this season. We've made mistakes, whatever. Yeah. We're going to try and get every advantage possible. If we got the best way is to play all the games. If you can't play all the games, then you look at other solutions. But if we can play all the games, you want to play them at Villa Park, or all the home games at Villa Park, and go away. But you've got to try and do that.
So, as a player, how do you think you would have dealt with all of this and the prospects of playing behind closed doors? Would if you were playing, at this time, how do you think you would have felt about the restart and everything like that?
As a player, I would have hated the idea behind closed doors, because for me, and I got worse as I got older, the practice games and the training games, they don't do a lot for me. You need fans there, you need atmosphere, you need people shouting and hollering abuse or roaring you on, whatever, because you get that extra bit out of you.
Yeah.
So I just think I didn't even watch. I ain't got BT Sport, but I can get all the highlights. I don't really want to watch the ghost games, as they call it. As a player, and I heard what Troy Deeney said the other day, and he's spot on. At the end of the day, you're not allowed to. You're supposed to have social distancing, but how can you social distance if you've got to mark the centre forward? How can you, if the corners in the box, you can't do that. So I just think it's a strange one. Well, not strange. 1 minute the footballers they're having to go at the footballers for not offering money to the NHS or paying money when they're putting something in place anyway. And then so there was a punch bag for the government at the time, because the government, to my mind, were a bit slow in what they were doing, so they want to deflect it a little bit. Oh yeah, but what about the footballers? Now you want the footballers back because it's a distraction, and that will make the nation feel better. I'm not too sure how desperately the nation wants football on. I think that we all want to see football again, but I would imagine most people are worried about people dying and hopefully getting the vaccine or getting the lockdown done in a better way, or getting out of lockdown before you think about football. I mean, there was a little bit of hullabaloo about the German leagues yesterday. Great. But if you read Twitter, most of the people have said things like, well, yeah, it was good to watch a bit of football, but there was no atmosphere.
Yeah.
And for me, it's all about atmosphere. Atmosphere is what drives you on. When I'm playing and people want to abuse me or people want to love me, it makes me play better or have a better of a go. As a player now, I'd be scared about either I go away for 5 weeks. I don't want to be near my family in case I bring something back. Because that's the worry.
I think Danny Rose got it spot on, didn't he? Why should footballers care about other people's mental well-being? And as crude as it may sound, their job at the end of the day is just to play football. Whether they make us feel better or worse or whatever, that's inconsequential, to how they perform or whatever. That's not a part of their job description. They just play.
The nation's well-being is not Danny Rose's concern. Danny Rose's concern is his family and providing for his family, doing the level best for his football club because they are paying him his money. Now, if you can be guaranteed to be safe, and to be fair, there's no guarantees in life about anything. Everything's a bit of a risk, but as a footballer, you want as less risk as possible because you're going into an unknown situation. Generally, when I'm playing over the season, I'm just going in, and I might get injured, I might not, but I'm going to play a game. There's no imponderables. There's no what happens if I had the ball after he's headed the ball, or goalkeeper's gloves? You shouldn't be thinking about things like that. Yeah. Now, Danny Rose is right. At the end of the day, if you make it, nothing in life is ever 100% clear and free of danger. But if you make it like it was back in the day, and I think it's going to be a while before that, then that gives you as a footballer the relief, the confidence to go and play, knowing you're not going to. Tammy Abraham said the other day his dad's an asthmatic. Doesn't want to go and play. And if he comes back and he says he's asymptomatic and he passes something on to his dad, and his dad, obviously, especially being black as well, with the family, apparently it's 35% of black players, or the league is black, so therefore, and they're at higher risks. Therefore, you got to, as a player now, you'd be slightly worried about that. I think generally most players, their drive to play is overriding, because we play when we're injured. We will take a gamble, but just cut down the odds a little bit to make sure that more load in the player's favour.
Yeah, I think so. Going to a few games, obviously, with WM and as a reporter and everything like that, and I think this would be a kind of nice way to sort of round off. What have been the highlights, as sort of going back to the States, almost as a spectator in a way? What games have you enjoyed covering and stuff like that? What stands out for you in recent years?
The first one I did, which I think was Man City in the FA Cup. I think they battered us. It was the year Villa went down. They'd asked me to do. Bill Howell's my mate, and he kept saying to me, like, you want. First, he kept saying you want to write a book. And he kept saying, like, you want to do some of that TV stuff and that. Now, years ago, McAnally had pulled me and said, like, do you want to come on Sky? I'll get you a pilot. And at the time, I was coaching at Northampton. And I was like, I ain't doing all that. I can't be doing all that. To be fair, what a bad move that was. But Bill Howell kept saying about doing it. And then in the end, they rang me up one day and said, oh, do you fancy doing this game? So I went and did the game. Never heard a thing about it. Normally, I know I weren't crap because my mates had been straight on the phone and be giving me the old pity one, like, you want to see a bad big man ever? But all I could hear was your fucking voice droning on, like, cause they call me the Cockney and that. So, you come from Kingsley, you sound like Uncle Albert. They say, like, you sound like Uncle Albert. So I'd get all that. So I know I'd done okay. But I never heard anything from WM. And then a couple of weeks later, they said, oh, do you want to do another game? Oh, by the way, it was quite good. And spent a bit of time with Rigo, get on really well with Rigo and Franksy. In fact, all of them are good. But the best time, obviously, we went down. Then there was the Di Matteo coming in. Then Brucey sort of steadied the ship. Got to Wembley. I think I've got to say, my best block of games that really enjoyed was the 10 games from the end of last season. You know, like when West Brom beat us 2-0 at Villa Park. Uran gets booed off the pitch. That whole thing's gone. Rigo says to me, that's it. We got 12 games to go or something, and like 10 games to go. And there's nothing on it now because we can't go up. And I'm like, yeah. And much as I love the Villa, I'm going to do the games. I love to go and watch them, but there's nothing on it. Yeah. Then all of a sudden, we win the one. I think Frank Lampard picked the team that we could beat. We beat them 4-0 at Villa Park. Jack scores a wonder goal, comes back from injury. And you're like, yeah, but we got so many games to win. It can't be done. And the buzz of that, winning the second one, winning the third one, and kept going. You're like, can we? He said, do you reckon there's half a chance? Then we get to, I think it was Rotherham away. And the referee, he pulled up in his car, and Rigo said to me, that's a man who loves himself. And I think it's Bobby Madley or one of them. Like, and he does love himself. So, like, he refs the game, but it's all about him. I think Mings gets sent off.
Mm-hmm. We won never a sending off.
Exactly. And he says to me, Rigo, if we can win this one, we're definitely going to go up. And then we win the game 2-1. And then you start thinking, hang on a minute. And all I was saying now, that 10-game run was the best feeling as a Villa fan I've had for years, because you could almost, you don't want to believe, but then they keep showing you
momentum.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Yep. Can we? And then all of a sudden we do. And then next thing we're at Wembley, like, and next thing, like, it's game over. And even at Wembley, we were, I think we were up anyway in the game. And he's got his two lads on the bench. And I can't remember the two centre forwards. The one that's like little and nippy and
Jack Marriott.
Jack Marriott, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm watching the game, and the kid that used to be at Sunderland, I'm terrible with names at the minute, and I'm sober. So like, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking he's got to put them on, because they're the only two that can possibly hurt us now. And the way the game's going, he's got to put them on. I think he put them on in the last 20 minutes. But then we sort of just hung on, like. But that feeling, that 12-game or 10-game run of going to Wembley, the playoffs as well against West Brom, when everything worked out for us, and Gale went up, got sent off, and that for me was the best block of games I've done or watched for a long, long time.
Rotherham was definitely, I think, the sort of turning point, weren't it? I mean, we were kind of before the game outside the ground, weren't we, Dan, saying, well, it's going to be tough. And you say that about all the games in that run, but looking back, Rotherham, it's a small stadium. Throughout the whole game, Jack Grealish got dogs abuse. Like they're the places you go to and you expect to win, but because of that expectancy, I think it makes it that much harder. And everything was against us that day. I mean, obviously Mings getting sent off, and who would have thought putting Jonathan Codger on? He was terrific that game. But I think that was the last time we saw anything good from him. But that performance was magnificent, and after the game, I remember me and Dan saying, "There's no way we're not getting promoted this year." Like Rotherham was the place when we knew. Going to games like that, does it make your job harder to do because you're emotionally invested in the final score?
Generally,
that's a great question, Dan.
I always, I suppose I do get invested in it because I do want them to win. If you've heard Tony Brown do it for WM or West Brom, or you've heard Mel Eves, now I give them stick about being one-eyed. But my lad will listen every now and again, and they'll go, "Big man, you got to tone it down a bit." So I do want, do go overboard a little bit. But I try and be constructive. I try and say blah blah. I mean, I ripped Wesley this season. I think it was the first game as well.
Because points to be fair.
Spurs, we played Spurs and he's put himself about, he's having a go, whatever. And I think it was Alderweireld knocked him over, and then I picked him up and patted him on the bum. And I didn't swear and I'm thinking, you can't let people do that to you. But he's learning the game. He's a young kid, and we were talking earlier about signings and that. I thought we'd have signed another centre forward, put him under pressure, so he knows he's not guaranteed a spot. And I just thought that I think probably we were going to get a centre forward, ran out of time, and then I just felt we needed centre forwards. We need pressure for each position, and I just thought that bit by bit, Dean will learn that.
One of those
on this podcast, we love Wesley on this podcast, but he's definitely not immune from his criticism. But I remember watching that game, and I was out of the country at this point, so I was watching it. My dad actually was FaceTiming me, and I was watching it through my dad's phone on the telly. Right. And I didn't have a great recollection of the game. It's only when I sort of watched back the highlights. But I mean, for that first John McGinn goal, Wesley taking the defender away, you think, oh my God, we've really got ourselves a fantastic centre forward here.
I keep saying it, and because people will ring up on WM, and some people have a go and say he's never going to be good enough. But it would be not impossible, but it'd be very hard for him at 6'3", 6'4", built like he is. He's decent in the air. He gets older, but he's got a goal in him. It's hard for him not to be a footballer. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's just if he can put it all together. And he's only young at the minute. That's the other thing. Because when I was a kid, Mick Ferguson used to say to me, like, "Big man, 25, 26, that you'll be a player. Like the minute you're learning the ropes." And Wesley's a kid. He's learning the ropes. He's coming to a bigger division, so he's jumped up a level. He's just got to learn quickly because the demand now from fans and myself and all that, we want them to get better quicker so they can win games for us. So the drive is always improve. And sometimes people improve slowly. Sometimes they learn a bit, they fall away a little bit. But the kid has all the tools to be a centre forward. Obviously, there's going to be days where it don't go well. And I think, was it Burnley when he got injured?
Yeah.
That was one of the games where he was having it off. It was going really well for him, but he gets the injury. Hopefully, the other thing about being injured, when I was injured for that 11 month or whatever, you watch a lot of football, you learn a lot, and you make sure, right, I'm never going to stint, I'm never going to pull out, I'm going to have a go at this and that. This could make him even hungrier when he comes back.
Especially with the extended break with COVID-19, I guess it gives a lot of the sort of injured players a lot of time to reflect. And there's been a lot sort of said about Dean Smith doing these sort of 2-hour debriefs with each player on the season. So I guess that can only be a positive thing.
Yeah,
we hope so.
The thing was, the time we'd had the cup final. I think we played Leicester on the Monday, and I remember saying, because Leicester tore us a new one, and I remember saying at the time, he needs to come up with a plan B and plan C, double live out, because we got 4 days before Chelsea, and if we play like this against Chelsea, then they ain't getting out of the car park because everyone could smell what's going to happen. So all of a sudden, like COVID happens, like Dean's now got a chance to work with the players, talk, through videos or whatever, talk to them, explain things to them. And now they back training. Is it next week, the back training?
I believe so, yeah.
Start putting things in practice because we've got to be a lot harder to beat, a lot more clinical. We've just got to improve in every aspect of what we're doing. And we can't keep turning around to, like, I think John McGinn's back now as well, Jack and John McGinn, and basically saying, oh, come on, help us out, boys. Because they should be the icing on the cake. They should be the ones that pull out that bit extra. But generally, the team's playing at a level that they accentuate everything we're doing. It's not like, oh dear Lord, we're in a crap. Just give it to them and they'll help us out, because they become easy to mark. Then Jack became easy to deal with the last few games before the COVID thing kicked in, because that was our only option. We had no one else to give the ball to, and people say no, he's losing interest in it. He's just getting inundated by being the talisman and carrying the whole thing all the time. He cannot carry it all the time. He needs a bit of help.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it would be interesting to see, you know, when all this is safe to return and everything like that. I think, you know, we've got some key games coming up. Like, I think we still got to play Arsenal, Chelsea, United.
Oh, by the way,
you think?
you see the Arsenal game down there? Gee, how we did.
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
We
there
were so
you go.
good.
There's another example. Wesley, especially, I think on that day, had a really good game. I was really impressed by what he offers, and I think that's what perhaps most frustrating is, that you know this squad's got it. But going into those big games, do you think the expectancy? Obviously, you've been in a lot of the home games this season. The weight of expectancy that is at Villa Park.
Yeah.
Do you think going into those bigger games, perhaps with the fans and that pressure alleviated, does it make it in other ways that are potentially an easier prospect?
It's easy. I think it's easy for the opposition, because that we was always told when we come to Villa Park, keep the crowd quiet for 20 minutes. You got half a chance here, like, because the crowd will get at them. The expectation of Aston Villa when we got relegated, the expectation of, I was watching senior players play with that expectation of having to reduce at a big ground, a big club. I suppose it's like playing for Man United. People expect you to do well. They expect this and that from you. So playing in an empty stadium, I suppose you've not got that expectation, but you've still got the general expectation of Villa fans expecting you to have a go, win the game, be competitive, be difficult to beat. So in one way, it's a lesson because it's better for the opposition playing away from home with no one there. But by the same token, you're representing Aston Villa, and with representing Aston Villa, it becomes a bit of a weight with it. You have to be able to carry that weight. And I mean, if you're a Norwich fan, then it's the same thing, I suppose. If you're a Man United fan, it's the same thing. How you feel, how you deal with the weight. Some players can deal with it quite easily. Yeah. I've not seen many players come here. I think Vertu, when he came here, looked like he was killing him a little bit, but then it turns out his kid's ill and he's got other problems off the pitch. But when you come to a club like this, I think Traore, when he first came, he went up the steps and that, and he said, when I look at Aston Villa, then I know I'm at a football club. And I think most of us feel the same thing. We walk into that place and we come near to that place, you come around the corner, you're like, damn. So like, with that comes that expectation of like, okay, this is my club. I've got to produce for my club. I've got this. I've got to do it. Most players that play here, when they go away, there's not many to say horrible things about it. They get drawn back here. This is a special place. Keown come the other day. We did a thing before the League Cup final, and Keown did a thing. And like, even though he's Arsenal through and through, and all he ever talks about is him and Tony Adams and Ian Wright, we won the cup with this and that. He loves the Villa, mate. And he's a once you get the
still based in Sutton, isn't he?
Yeah, you can't get rid of it. It's there, and that's what. But with that comes expectation of wanting to do well. So it's you got to live with.
I think a lot of players as well, kind of, especially in the past, things don't really seem to get better when you leave Aston Villa. There's only a handful of players who I think you can look at and have genuinely gone on and played at a level that's considerably higher. I think if you look at your players like Dwight Yorks and stuff like that, a lot of people who maybe retired or players who are still playing now will look back at playing at Aston Villa as some of their best days of their career. Yeah,
I think during my time, after my time, like you said, there's Yorkie. There's not many. James Milner, Ashley Young. There's a few players have gone on and played in Champions League or whatever and could say, yeah, my career's improved or whatever. But generally, this is the pinnacle for most clubs, most players when they get to this club. And like, as I felt when I walked in here, I've got to make this work here because it ain't going to get better than this. This is it for me. Like, and as a fan, of course it is. But then McAnally comes here. A lot of people come here, and this is the place. Once you get the feeling of this place, once you're here, like you say, it's all downhill from here, isn't it? After that.
Absolutely.
Would you say as well that just kind of coming back onto this season and last season, that maybe the players are perhaps getting unfairly judged? Because I'd definitely say, watching us last season, we were certainly the best team in the league for 10 games, and then the 10 games in a row that we ran. I think looking at that squad, there was, I remember being at Wigan away with my dad, and my dad saying he never wants to see any of them grace the pitch again. That 3-0 loss, it was awful. There was no way you watch that team and expect to get promoted.
Was that the day Courtney Hawes came on in the last?
That was
the worst 15 minutes. I felt for him. I was like, when you put him on and you're thinking he's only a kid, then you watch him play and you're like, oh dear Lord, I felt for him that day, mate. Yeah. Your dad was right, actually. They were shockingly bad.
He famously said as well, he said, I never want to see Courtney House wear a Villa shirt, and I never let him forget it, because Courtney has been one of the most improved players, I think, in that second half of the season. And certainly I don't feel like he's out of place in the Premier League. I remember on the podcast talk with Dan a few weeks ago, I saw a statistic. He's I believe 14th in the world for the most aerial duels won, ahead of the likes of Thiago Silva, Rafael Varane, and I believe only Sergio Ramos was above him directly.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Exactly. What? You're coming with some stats there, like I never knew that. That's proper. Good info, big fella.
Does his homework.
When I get a chance, I'm going to throw that in as well. Like,
There we go.
I'll say that and Rigo will go, you've heard that somewhere. You've never researched that. But that's good knowledge, big fella. Good knowledge.
I'll be there listening with my dad coming back.
Yeah. I said, do you know Courtney House, like 14th in the world? That's great information. I'm happy with that.
It's crazy, but I think a lot of the players, as I kind of said, are being unfairly judged on being on that 10-game win run, because I think, without being overly critical, and you don't want to at all, crap on any of your team's players. You look at a few of them and you think there's nothing but championship written over this. And I think I've been guilty of saying that about Conor Horan over the podcast. El Mohammadi, but El Mohammadi's proved me wrong in all occasions this season whenever he's turned up. I remember saying just before he scored the goal at Wolves, I said, Elmo's completely done. Like, why is he the captain? Why is he doing this? And then he scored against Wolves. He scored against Liverpool in the Cup. And kind of proved to be important. But I guess there are still quite a few players that you look at and think, I mean, it is Jack Grealish keeping us up, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, John McGinn gets injured and Jack's the man. Like, I mean, Jack was a slow starter this season, but bit by bit he got better and better. He scored a goal in Man United. Also, everyone's talking about Jack Grealish all the time. But yeah, you're right. The fact that at times in the Championship, that was the best they were ever going to get to. We bring some more players in who look slightly better than Championship, but really you got to prove yourself over a period of time. And like they have looked periods where they have looked iffy. They've looked at their depth at times. The manager's looked like he's still learning the game. I think if you ask Dean now, he'd probably say things like, at the end of the season, I should have brought in, I think there was Calvin Phillips and people like that.
I should have them. Yeah.
Players with like English experience and whatever. We took flyers on different players because they filled an idea. They had what they call a metric, an idea. Oh yes, if we buy him for this, we do this, the Moneyball thing, and we can maybe sell him for this. Like, you want proven players who can come in at whatever level they're at that potentially can hold their own in the Premier League, because some of these players, like Conor Horan, I think has done unbelievably well. Because when he first came, and he was one of the best players at Barnsley, scoring goals, whatever. Then you look at him, and then an awful lot to his game at times. But he has got a great free kicking in. He's got a set piece, good delivery, and he's got a goal in him. And he's got some decent short game. But there's times when you look at him and he looks very one pace, can't really get around the pitch or whatever. Say, oh, what's he bringing? But there's something about him. The kid don't give in. When you look at him and you ride him
back into it, doesn't he?
Yeah. And he somehow gets himself back in the team, and he scores a goal and that. He's one of them you can't write off, because he will not lie down. And I just think that's a player that there's always something there for him. I mean, after the West Brom game, I weren't happy about his attitude to the fans coming off, because they're entitled to have a pop if they think you've been crap, like which he had been. They're like, just get off the pitch and you're unhappy, but get off the pitch. He went happy. But he's the first one in. Next time there's a rock in that, he's in there defending his players. He's in there trying to score a goal. So I'm thinking, I've got to have him. Regardless of what's going on, and at times I don't think he's the greatest footballer in the world, but he seems to be one of them that will stand on when we're up against it. So I'm like, yeah, okay. Might not have everything you need at the minute, but as a squad player, a player to come in and do a job, great. I think someone like Henry Lansbury, for me, is had potential as a kid at Arsenal, as a talented footballer, just seems to have drifted his way through life. And I just think, I think all the stick Horan gets, no one ever mentioned Henry Lansbury. He's been 2-3 years, hasn't he? So, and I think
a lot more money,
but he's a stranger, isn't it?
Definitely. I think Horan as well. I mean, I think this season with him, he's got an absolute elite mentality, and I think that's something that you can't fault with him. He's gone through the divisions, and I think the one thing you can't fault is that, because there's not many players who do that. You know, you either start at the top maybe in a Premier League academy, and then you find yourself falling down.
Yeah.
I guess he's kind of done that with Sunderland, where he's done that, but he's paid his dues, he's worked his way up. And I'd say we've probably played some of our best football this season with Hurahan in the side, that sort of left-hand side with Target, who again I've been very critical of. But Target, Hurahan and Grealish, it's just this sort of free-flowing. Even against Man United, I think we should have got a lot more against Man United. But he played that game as well.
Yeah, I mean, Man United game, you're right. I thought we were going to win the game. I thought, well, if we get another goal, there's no way we're going to lose this game. And the way the relationship with them, and like you say, Hurahan, Grealish, Target, down the left-hand side, good players, they link with each other and they're not ashamed to give each other the ball and trust each other with the ball. And that's why when Danny Drinkwater came, I just watched him and Grealish, and Grealish, they ain't shy to give him the ball, go on, get on with it, because they know he's a decent player. He ain't fit, but he's a decent footballer. And I just think you're right, that relationship, Target can't defend. It's getting better, but going forward, linking with players and that, Target's different. I think someone said to me he's got a load of assists this season. So, like, I wasn't going to try and give a stat like yourself because obviously shut down, but he's got loads of assists and that. So I'm thinking, well, yeah, so he's obviously good going forward. He just needs to work defensively. But our left-hand side with Jack as well, obviously it's geared to going forward. So you've got to balance it a little bit the other way. But generally, around going back to your original point, an elite mentality is what gets some players. Martin Keown once said to me after he played for England, he come to me at wedding, I think, second wedding. And he said, we were talking about footballers, and he said, why some of them come and have 2 or 3 games and drift away. He said, it's all there, mental. The mental toughness to keep going and believe in yourself. And even when people are slagging you off and say, yeah, no, I know what I'm doing. I know I've got my eye on the prize. And Keown was right like that. And Hurahan's a bit like that. Like you say, started at Sunderland, went down to the bottom division. Plymouth he went to?
I believe so, yeah.
Way back up. And like all of a sudden, he's back in the Premier League. And I saw the tweet some geezer tweeted when he was playing for Plymouth, like, one day I want to play in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Kind of, much as we love you. And like, he saved that. And that's something, that's a mentality when you think, right, when my day comes, I'm going to get there. And that must have drove him on, like, and that's a great mentality to have, like, and that'll get you a long way.
It looks like it could well be a while before we get back and see Villa Park full and everything like that, and you get to back doing what you're best at, Garry. In the meantime, how are you looking to get your footy fix? What are you doing to keep yourself entertained? How do the next few months look for you?
I mean, I suppose I took the moral high ground yesterday and didn't really bother with the German football, but I imagine I'm gonna start watching that. I keep putting Sky Sports on, like, and like, you'll know, you watch Sky Sports, after an hour you've seen it all.
Yeah,
and I still find myself keep coming back and keep putting it back on, and they give me the same old guff, like, and I start watch it again. I see bits on YouTube, I see goals on YouTube, I see different things. Just getting little bits here and there, a bit of FIFA here and there, like, just filling in time, really. I mean, like I say, I've got ceilings and that to do and bits and bobs.
You're busy.
And lawns to mow and all that. So I've got bits to go on with, but football, since I was 8 or 9, that's been my thing. So, like, I want to get back to it. I want to get back where everyone's safe, but I want to get back with fans in the stadium, because that's what makes it special. That's what makes it the game we love. So we need the fans back in there.
Absolutely.
People are saying, like, oh, well, it might not be till 21, but I think Boris was saying the other day, by October, I expect fans to be in there. So I just hope it's quicker, sooner rather than later.
We can dream. We can dream.
Yeah, definitely. People were saying the other day, it might this thing might die out. Some scientists I was reading, because I seem to have been reading a lot of scientist pages and news and all that. Like,
all looking for the glimmer of hope, aren't we?
Oh yeah, I'm waiting for the vaccine to see the paper. The vaccine, we found it. So, like, I'm hoping, because I just believe that the sooner we can get back, and they keep calling it the new normal or whatever. But for me, if I'm at Villa Park and we're just waiting for the fans to come on, the players to come on the pitch for it, and the fans are making a noise, and you know when you get the flame thing go off, wherever you're sitting, you get the little oof. It's a little bit warm. That's when I know we're back, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. I think one final thing before we go, I'll be remiss if I didn't ask this. Is when I was going through the questions with my old man, he said to mention this, and you kind of touched on it earlier. Back in the day, how you were kind of in with the music scene. How influential was that? Growing up as well. His name dropped Two Tone and Scar, the Specials, the Beat Players. A lot of Birmingham-based, West Midlands-based. Back in the day, I mean, the Midlands was undefeated for music, wasn't it?
was rocking. Like, I mean, my old man and his mates used to come round and they'd be listening to a bit of ska back in the day, and I'd hear all of that. By the time I'm 8, 9, 10, I'm Stevie Wonder, Sound of Philadelphia, and all that sort of stuff. So, but by the time I was telling Bill the other day, by the time I got to Coventry, I'd never heard of Judas Priest and all these kind of bands and Led Zeppelin and all this kind of this heavy rock. And I was like, what is this? But then, obviously, by the time I was 17, the Specials land and the Selector and the Beat and all that, and I'm playing for Coventry, and they're Coventry based, and the Midlands, it was just rife with it. So, like, for us, the likes of myself, Tommy English, Mark Haitley, and we'd hang with them a little bit. It was great. Then I went to Sheffield Wednesday, the Human League, and all them was out, and that was a new sort of sound, and we hung with them a little bit. So, like, yeah, music's always been a big thing in my life. I said to Bill the other day, when I was at Coventry, I got dragged to this concert. So I got taken to this concert with me, my first wife or girlfriend at the time, and like Danny Thomas, Haitley, a few of us sitting there, and I just went for a night out. Like, anyway, this geezer come on, he said, he's sitting in my seat, mate, and he was a little bit abusive. And I'd be my normal, polite self, says, not a problem, mate, but if you ever speak to me like that again, I'll knock you out. So he went a bit like that. So I'm sitting there thinking, what am I doing here? Anyway, this black geezer comes on the stage, like, with an afro like and that, and he starts playing the guitar. And I was like, Lord, Phil Lynott, innit? So then Lizzie come on in Coventry, and I was like, God, I'm going to be that man. That's who I want to be. And from then on, I mean, as a black man, most people don't listen to that kind of thing, but I loved him. I thought he was magnificent. He was in a different class. And like, from then, not from then, but now I listen to most anything. Like, the old man used to listen to Elvis and all that. I listen to most anything. I can't sound very old now, but I hear some of the things nowadays, and I'm like, what is that?
I think we're like that as well, to be fair.
Yeah, I think
my boy listens to pure 80s, and like, he's in his 30s now, and he listens to the pure 80s all the time. So I was around his house the other day, and he's just have a constant reel of 80s music with the grandkids running, my grandkids running around. And I'm like, yeah, it takes me back to the day. So yeah, the 80s was probably one of the best times for music, just different types of music and that. But yeah, Selector, Specials, all them, like, different class. Because it was just different. It was something different.
Wicked.
They don't make music like that anymore, do they? They really don't.
When, as a kid in the 80s, you didn't realise just how fortunate you were. People talked about the 60s being this and that, like, and obviously the Beatles and all that, but the 80s, there was something different. There was different tunes, different style of stuff. Nowadays, after stuff like that, and sound old and grime and all these kind of different music and that, and all of it's all rip-offs of the 80s tunes and all that.
Yeah.
I listen to it, I can hear that beat in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my dad always says that. Yeah.
They come in like they reinvented the wheel and that, but I'm afraid like we did that.
That's amazing. Well, I think that's a good note to end on. Gary, thank you very much for coming on, mate.
No
I really do
problem.
appreciate it. I'm sure we could sit here and for hours and hear your story. So hopefully we can have you on again in the future. That was amazing, mate. Thank you.
Well, like Bill was saying, I've got a book coming out soon. Well, in a couple of months. So yeah, definitely have me on.
We'll have you on to promote you then.
Yeah, plug that one. Yeah, absolutely.
Right,
definitely. Thanks, Gary. Hope you're staying safe, mate. Thank you.
No problem. Take it easy.
Just as essential to fulfilling this got potential. It's a main man, a hero. He's the main leader of the gang.